Kicking off a new episode with lots of new bits and hopefully lots of conclusions to outstanding problems. Yes, starting at the left, that's not going to conclude anything, but a rather nice tank pad, which will be fitted at the very end of the project. A seat cover, which is very good because Derek apparently is turning up this evening, kind of with the almost finished Ducati seat, so I should give him something else to do. And then we have the negative cable, and yeah, you've seen all that. But we have this too. So we're going to be attacking the stubborn stubs. I myself have been referred to as stubborn. I prefer the word persistent. There you go, one new seat. Well, obviously it's got to be stitched and done properly, but I shall leave that to somebody who knows what they're doing, which is not me. Well, it's tight with the plug-in, but it fits, so that's good news. There, that's that fitted, labelled up red, and that gives us plenty of scope for positioning of the battery. Yes, and it's even got a nice little rubber protector on it, which probably won't work, but there we go. Resorted to spraying the whole thing with that engine paint and settling for a semi-gloss, and with a quick bit of masking, a plastic bag, and yeah, an old drinks carton. There you go. Job done. Ish. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was doing painting, but obviously I've moved on. And this is where I want to mount the ECU. So it's way off my, you can't see, it's way off. Yeah, there's my little tray for all the other shit, because I don't want it to take up any room in this beautiful sculpted, I mean they are lovely, I don't really want it to show in there, so I want to mount it up here high, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. Can't drill into it obviously, so I've got to provide something for it to sit in fairly securely without rattling around, because that's not good for it either. So that's quite a challenge, but that's what I want to do if I can. So just repainted this because I've kind of finished buggering about with it, and the temptation here is horrible because probably only did it like 15 minutes ago and it's already totally touch dry. So yeah, the temptation to mask it up ready to hit it with a black is very great, especially when you're an impatient bastard like me. Yes, just want to get it done, see what it looks like. Exciting. Anyway, eventually the original Perspex blocks that I ordered turned up. Well, actually I thought it was only one, but apparently it was 6. Which is a party, total party, because that means many more ridiculously cool backlights to come. And I don't know, do I put them in parallel or do I stack them with the space and obviously in the middle, not off to one side like it is currently? Yeah, so obviously I wasn't going to wait. And that's all masked up, so that's going to be black. And it's not that I'm a tight git, it's just that I like recycling things and using things more than once if at all possible. And just a couple of plastic bags and some masking tape, and yeah, I think we're ready to hit it. Impatient as ever, after the first blast of blaster, I'm going to give it a go with the the mole grip. It's a mole grip, not a vice grip. The vice grip makes more sense. And isn't it wonderful how motorcycles are just designed for smokers? So there's my ashtray. No bloody difference. I'm just going to have to wait for the rest of my torch. Or flamethrower, as I prefer to call it. More finishing touches at this early stage in the game. Honestly, it's not really the time for finishing touches, but did manage to get a little bit of overspray on the on that bit of the shock absorber. So instead of wiping it off, I'm going to cover it up. Hey, I need some blue on this bike. You've seen the album cover. I need some blue. That'll do it. Wrong camera angle. That'll do it. Yes. Lovely. We have some blue and yellow and red. There, that was worth rushing, wasn't it? I mean, doesn't that look cool? Because the black will just kind of disappear, so you just end up with that beautiful yellow shape. And not all of that, obviously, because the seat's going to go there and stuff. So yeah, that's what it's all about. It's getting exciting. All these finishing touches, I haven't even got the bastards started yet. But to be honest, that's part and parcel of everything in terms of a project. You know, give yourself little victories along the way that make you feel good, and then they incentivize you to come back to the bitchy bits that won't work. Yeah, remember these? I mean, how long's this been dragging on for? So that's the kind of the point. Just keep yourself motivated, and there's always a solution to everything. Generally it involves expense, agreed, and even calling in experts when you have failed because of your lack of experience. But yeah, that's what it's all about. Just keep yourself motivated, keep ticking along, keep doing stuff that makes you feel good about the project, and it'll all come together in the end. Non-muffled exhaust muffler fitted, and muffler for it found on eBay this morning. Plenty of room, I think, for it to fit, and a little bit more substantial than the ones I used on the Ducati. So anyway, that's going to look real nice. It's going to come along here and it's going to finish about there. I just held it up, I can't do that and film, obviously. So yeah, not one of these type of mufflers, which are woefully inadequate, honestly. I don't think they make much difference at all. They certainly didn't on the Ducati. So this one's kind of solid, well, what do I want to say, like honeycomb all the way through, and we'll see if that makes a difference. Oh, right then, I can film it. Hold on. Really? Take two. Something like that. Back on the ECU, and I think I've got an idea. So there's this existing hole in the frame here, just gone into shadow, really helpful. Anyway, as you can see, I've just dropped a rivet nut in there, and there's more of it here. There's two holes. So obviously I can't get the riveter in there because that's in that lovely little alcove. God, in an alcove. And but of course, all I need is an appropriate sized bolt, and then I can tighten that up using the bolt. That will give me the opportunity to do a kind of stepped zigzaggy thing off of that, which goes kind of along and up a bit, and then the ECU could sit on top of that. So before I put the rivet nut in there, I'm going to get some cardboard out and see what that might look like. Right, we measured it all up and we've gone all metric, so it's 210 mil across. It's only 15 mil raise, and then oh no, 15 mil width on that section there. That's 15 mil, and then the height, the raise, is 45 mil, and then the tray needs to be 120 mil. Roughly. Don't ask me to convert that into inches. You can do it yourself. If you have a Windows 10 computer, you just call up the calculator and you do measurements. It's as simple as that. If you have an Apple Mac, I have no idea, you're beyond help. So I'm in mounting mode, which is good news for the wife. Anyway, I'm just wondering about where I put these. So I'm looking at those two holes as being the starting point for whatever I dream up with, because I don't think those are going to work, and I might use them for mounting the Speedo. Yes, got to come up with something for that. So I'm thinking, you know, conventionally that's quite low, but how about being really unconventional and having them down here? I've kind of tested the suspension, and the travel is, you know, it's never going to bottom out on that, and if it does, me or whoever is riding the bike at the time is probably in a lot of trouble, and not too worried about a couple of headlights that cost $20 each. So that might be kind of cool. Have them low down. I don't know. What do you think? There? Up or down? High or low? Starting to sound like bloody Bruce Forsyth. Anyway, some of you will get that. Most of you won't. Funny that I opened this box, because I was just thinking, literally this morning, that this kind of dense plastic recycled, like this stuff, recycled, foam, squidgy foam, would be a good thing to kind of pack around the ECU once I come up with whatever it's going to say. Guess what the best whiteboard cleaner is? Yep. Yes, we're still on the subject of mounting, and this is pretty much where the where the last owner had the Speedo time wrapped to, and there is a little doofer there, yeah, there, which, you know, would correlate with one of the three mounting points on the back of the Speedo. But as we already know, on the Augusta, one is never enough. It wobbles around a lot, especially at 130, 60 officer. So whilst I kind of like that, I don't know. Still got those boys down there. Choice of two, to produce a really sturdy mount. Then it could still sit roughly in the same place, because I think I can grind. Well, I know I can grind it off, but I think I'm going to grind that off. That's where the original ignition key sat. It's already broken. So yeah, that might be an option. Just looking at this again, and that upright that I've now drawn some zeros and dotted lines on, those are potentially holes in whatever I fabricate, because I want to allow airflow through to the air intakes, and I want to minimize that without compromising the structural integrity of the tray, and it may need something at the back down here to support the rear end. Must be a better word than tray. I shall look it up on Thesaurus and come back to you with a better word. I'm thinking receptacle or something similar, something a little more racy perhaps. Yes, I'm back on these because, as you know, I hate protrusion at the front, and I suddenly realised if I mounted them below the line, they could go, they could go back there. Well, there's a radiator in the way, I have to take that into account, but they could basically be flush, and that would be really cool. So I'm going to work on the assumption that I'm going to mount them underneath, because I think that looks really cool. So I've got to come up with some kind of bracket that comes off there and then allows me to mount off. And most importantly, Derek, who was supposed to turn up the other night and obviously didn't, true to form, is he's coming tomorrow. Yes, he is. And we're going to look at all kinds of stuff together. I have a Derek list, and we may well get through some of that. Stay tuned for a special episode with Derek. Stage 1, cardboard cutout. Needs a lip at the back, doesn't it? Yeah. obviously. That lip there, 30mm plus, depending on how I'm actually going to secure it. Cardboard version 2.0. And yes, we have a little lip here, a little lip there, and a big lip here, which we can tailor accordingly. Getting there. It's a while since we've looked at the F4, but yes, Derek is on his way, and we shall be looking at the exhaust and the fuel leak and maybe a seat for the Ducati and lots of things on the Yamaha as per the Derek list. Meantime, stage 2 of the ECU tray. Still haven't come up with a better word. There we go. Is that complicated? Nah, it's just cutting and folding. So, before Derek takes this seat away to get covered, I'm just surveying the light situation with one of my Perspex Perspex blocks. And yes, I think I'm going to stagger them. So have one light back there, running light, and then brake light up here. They can mount off each other, and they can mount off this. Perfect. It's nice when something's simple, isn't it? So that'll just need either one or two of those rivet nuts, maybe either side of that lump, or just one on the lump. And obviously I won't be able to rivet it into the plastic, probably. I'll probably have to glue it, but that's fine. As long as the hole is tight, it will not need a lot of glue to hold it in place. So yeah, one there, and then one kind of there. That'll be the running light at the back, brake light at the front. Like so this is how to do a wheel bearing properly with the right tools. Baby. So new needle bearings in place, lightly greased shaft, inner shaft going in there, just drop that in. The other side all repacked, circlip back on, C-clip back on, ready to go. Just need those rubber bits. Greased up that inner shaft, put the rubber boys back in the hub there. That's on next with the spacer first. I think we're ready to go. Wheel in roughly the right position. Got to go forward a few inches and then slot in shaft without dog hairs. Well, it's still not on properly because I haven't worked out the spacers and stuff yet. But it's looking good. Generally, you know, in terms of no seat overhang, slight yellow stuff behind the wheel, all looking quite cool, I think. New sprocket, new, oh yeah, new disc. That looks good, doesn't it? That looks really cool and quite Yamaha. Yamasaki. Yes, I had a better idea than all this folding lark. Get stuff that's already that shape. It's a perfect lip for the back. I bought two. I bought an inch and a 3/4, and yeah. So having cut those two pieces out, that's the 3/4 inch and then the inch, and then I thought I'd put some of this stuff in the middle, which would allow me to maybe bend it a little. Then I started thinking that looks awfully familiar, and I remembered a really horrible shower fitting that we had in the house that I removed immediately the moment I moved in, and I saved it, of course, and there it is, ready made. So this is just perfect, honestly. If you measure it, it's pretty much that. And I can drill my holes in it to allow bigger airflow than that, and without disrupting the integrity, because this is an extruded piece. I know all about aluminum extrusion because that's what the Lotus Elise was made out of. So yes, we'll put all that to one side and we will pursue this idea. I actually kept it at the time because I had a really good idea, a really funky idea actually, for for the dashboard in the race car, and it was just going to be this aluminum strip, and the dials were going to kind of only be half in it. I don't know how to describe it. If I can find the Photoshop file that I did, I'll put it up so you can see what the hell I'm talking about. Oh, I know it's not very pretty now, but that is so perfect. And I will need those other bits for the back of the tray. So while it looked like a good idea, as you can see, it's going to be tight on that front edge, which is where it bolts into the frame. Gonna pursue it. I think I got enough. So I'm going to pursue this because I like it in general. So next up, those lovely cooling holes, which would have disappeared if I'd gone this route with the two different, those guys. Basically had a very thin strip of holes like that, which wouldn't have been great, right? Not cooling, just airflow. Airflow to the carburetors. So yeah, that's the next step. So that looks good to me. Now I've got to work out, because that's an existing hole, but now I've got to work out how often I need to space them out in order to make it look neat and tidy like that. Starting to look sexy. Yeah, we like that. Talking of recycling things, I just popped this in the fridge because my first friend ever in Sedona, Ryan, R1 as he's known, is coming over this evening with his new fiancée, so we're going to be celebrating, but I can't wait to recycle that. I mean, look at that, that's cool, isn't it? Yes, I like the idea of that on something. So I'm actually going to cut the bottom plate fairly tight, because then we're going to use this stuff as lippage. Yes, it hasn't gone to waste. And while I remember, just to show you how scrambled my brain is, I had a very interesting conversation with Derek last night about the whole airbox and individual air filters and things like that. And apparently it turns out that airboxes are quite a good idea, bulky though they are. They produce a kind of pre-pressure, so the air is in there already and being forced into a small place, and therefore easy to suck, I guess. However, undeterred, because I've got nowhere else to put the ECU, I'm still going with my individual air filters, and they look cool, don't they? So these boys, because this is where the conversation started, these boys need to go into some kind of outlet. They went back into the airbox. So what he suggested is join them up, tee them up, and have a pipe that comes off the T connection to just dump on the ground somewhere. Yet another overflow type situation. Good job I saved all those little bits of pipe, including the T-junction, right? Because from the original emissions bullshit, right? Because I can use that to do the job. Alright, so that's cut out and we're ready to drill the first rivets. I think, I don't know how many, I'll work it out. I think 3 will be enough. If it turns out not to be, we'll put 1 in the middle. So yeah, ready to go. 20mm in from the edge and then 1 bang in the middle. Hopefully just in time before the missus turns up, having had her hairdo, and I've still got time to feed the cats, so she thinks I've done everything as I should. I know, looks like he's helping himself, honestly. You right, Mr. Simps? So starting in the middle and putting that first rivet in, which holds everything in place. So now the holes I drill will be perfect. Tip I learnt from Chuck. Stage 2 complete. Riveted bottom plate. So good job I looked at this, because I want a little bit of padding as well as the ridges to hold it up. And of course the wiring needs to come in that end, right? So this end is, I'm going to have to cut this one a little bit short, maybe like that. Cut that bit off so that lines up there, and then that's going to sit there, and the wiring's going to come in on that corner. And I may well put a lip on this side too. But yeah, I want some padding, foam, something in there just to hold it in place nicely without it banging up against metal. As usual, it's all about the millimeters, so you can see I can't get it quite in line with that hole, and here we're under the lip because the actual ECU itself is butting up against the frame either side. That's where I want it, but it just needs to be a couple of mil lower. Obviously I could mount the tray, the flat bit, on the bottom of the bracket, for want of a better word, which would lower it, I don't know, 4 mil, 3 mil. I'd still have to come further back, and I don't want to come further back. So it's just the height. It looks perfect, but it kind of ain't, which is a real shame, because structurally that's probably the best bet I'm going to get. So before I give up on this idea, I'm actually going to just flip this. So this edge here becomes the leading edge, and the whole thing just flips around. That'll give me another 10 mil, and it'll give me more space for that critical hole to mount to the frame. And it'll give me 10 mil more on the back. And again, I can adjust that. Got a bit of scope here. So I think I can make this work. Despite the horrible hangover, I am undeterred and adjusting the tray. So that's now going to be the leading edge. So we can put it 10 mil further back. I've removed the tray from there, and although it would be a lot easier to mount it on top, because I've got the room, I actually want to put it underneath just to give me that extra couple of mil drop. So I'm going to have to use some fairly small, because I've only got that gap, some fairly small rivets, these little guys. And there you have it. It fits. And as you can see, it's going to come forward a little bit, but it will. And just those minor adjustments, a few millimeters here and there, and that now fits in there beautifully. Quite remarkable. And on that small victory, I think we'll call it a day for this episode. I'm calling it a day for today because I'm still hungover. As always, thanks for watching. Do subscribe if you haven't already. We need subscribers. And we need more viewers, so please encourage others to watch my lunacy.